All right, so here we go. We've got Evil Geniuses with a completely blown up roster and NRG. The thing about EG, a lot of people just assumed they would get worst, but what I like about Evil Geniuses and true to their theme is that they got the hungry players, right? Every single person on this team has something to prove. Jojopyun was he probably did phone it in a little bit last summer. He just wasn't try harding that much. He was very lackadaisical. It's like I'm this much better than everybody. Why do I need to try hard? He took that personally. He went into Korea for a boot camp and reportedly is playing incredibly. Armeo gets subbed in, wins championship, but all the credit goes to the other jungler behind him. Unforgiven wins the MVP in Europe and then ends up sitting on 100 Thieves behind Double Lift, which I think was a mistake, but you have the brand power of Double Lift. You get some fans that way. Ayla, who was the MVP of the Academy roster, but then gets blamed for the issues that FlyQuest have had after going 9-0 with Winsome. They end up going 6-3 in the second split and flaming out of the playoffs with Ayla. So all of these players have something, and Revenge being stuck in Immortals prison for a long time. So all these guys reportedly good players, and they basically, it looks like they got the very best players available to them after giving up the other spots. So they lose from spring. Going into spring, they lose Impact. Coming out, the rest of the expensive part of the roster, Vulcan and Inspired. And they end up getting the best value available from every other position, which Evil Geniuses. A lot of people thought maybe they were just giving up like TSM and CLG, but I think they're actually going to get this. They're going to do exceptionally well together. So this top lane matchup, we've got Sion versus Ornn. They're going to just be stacking grasp off on each other. It behooves the Scion not to do that as much as possible. You just want to clear and get out because you're already gaining health without taking the grasp procs, but your grasp procs are going to start hitting hard. I don't think we ever see the heart gem in these games, right? They're just not focusing on that. Look at that flash E into setup, beautifully done, and we get the flash kills. So good setup there. A little bit of an unexpected path here from Armeo. Our Mayo. All right, you see that from Wolves into double side coming over. So hitting level 3 in the bush. This is a nice unique thing, something that you can't really do in your solo queue games, but if you're doing it in pro, right, they're going for exact amount of XP, taking a path that normally wouldn't get you there, but then you just hover, right? You hover, you get a little CS, boom, you start the fight. Gragas E flash, and they get the first blood. 0 wasted energy there. Now, Palafox did have some some good showings at the end of last season as well. One of those guys that kind of overperformed last summer and last spring. Maybe he's actually got it, They could be a team. Tough spot for CLG. What do you think? You do well. You have the best split that your team's had in many years. And then your roster, or your team basically sells out. Right, gets out of the space completely. It's a complete lack of faith. So these guys should be kind of hungry as well. But if we're looking from a just talent, if we're looking at talent across the board, apart from contracts, I'm going to give the favor to EG on every single spot. We do have Zeri and Milio available here. Nice movement by Jojopyun. You see the accuracy of his clicks there. Quick movements left and right. Getting in short range, being able to get the maximum out of the trade. He's also canceling every single animation at the perfect spot. So Jojopyun is not missing a click right now. All right, Viego's hovering on bot side. This is going to be a strong point for the Lucian and Yuumi. And look at this. He's just taking it to the Annie, saying, you cannot poke me out of this lane. I have way too much sustain. Look at this. All right, I love this. Micro movements back and forth, constantly threatening, hey, my cooldowns are back up. I'm threatening for you. Now, Palafox is going to try to bait and maybe potentially have the E up in response and kind of bait right here. That's a good use of the stun. Use stun in response. If you both cast your Qs at the same time as the Annie, you'll always be able to get out. Now, Poppy's going to come over and try desperately to push this, but it's not going to work, right? Doesn't have enough resources. They're actually bringing Ignar over as well. Are they going to really commit to this push? No, they're saying, all right, Gragas fought for the wave. You see this? Because Gragas fought for the wave, it does mean that the wave is going to push back out ever so slightly. But there is a cannon there, so it is kind of sneaky amounts of healthy. The problem with the back right here is without the teleport, Gragas is going to be able to two-shot these waves. And he's going to get an excellent recall off for himself. I expect to see Everfrost. There was a fad phase for Rod of Ages, but the Everfrost spike just makes you so good right when you get it. So most of these Gragas players are going Everfrost. It also helps you either chain CC or make it easy to land your ultimate. Annie pulling the wave. There we go, dropping the control ward while she does it. Important step. These guys are going to fight over that bot side river. You're going to notice this ward right here. They're going to go after this all the time. Annie walking past the wave to draw the minions in. Now, bot side, this is where Lucian Nami should be able to be strong, but they don't want to engage unless they know where Poppy is, all right? So they're going to be using vision whenever they can. They're going to use Prio to get Viego into the river. You see how Gragas steps up. He's able to jump into the river. Armeo comes with him, right? Together, that means that Lucian can now play aggressively and look for a chunk. They get the bone plating off of FBI, so expect for another aggressive trade coming up right here. That was sort of the feeler. You get the bone plating gone, and then it's time to get him. Jojo with his first miss of the day. Armeo actually getting knocked back into the vision. So they actually have full vision of him doing... Now, check this out. This is a very important step. Sion rotating over. This is something that you need to do in your games, right? Ornn's pushed in. Basically, the entire team 30 seconds ago said, all right, here we go. Let's fight for Prio. Viego moves forward. Everyone pushes their wave. That unleashes everyone onto the map. And because of that, NRG cannot contest the dragon, right? So that's the power of tempo. That's a snapshot of priority and tempo right there, if you haven't seen it before. Now, what you can do in these situations, even if you don't know where Poppy is, you don't need to know where Poppy is. If you can generate a win in 2 different positions while losing in the other, that's okay, right? Like, you win that turn. If you think of everything as like a 5-second interval, a 10-second interval, every decision, sometimes these teams go by like the waves as well. Oh, beautiful peel right here so that there's no follow-up with Tibbers. That's so good from Jojo. But if you think of every 30 seconds, right, every wave cycle is like what's happening within this wave cycle. Where's the pros and cons to everything? Oh my goodness, the clean. Palafox thinking that he's got the window to get in there, thinks that he'll be able to react to anything that's coming his way, but still gets popped by the Gragas. But what I'm saying is if 2 sides are pushing up and the other side's pushing up, all 3 are going forward. If enemy team wants to have a counterattack, jungler needs to come somewhere, right? If jungler is going to any of the sides, then the other 2 sides necessarily will be winning. Your jungler is either already in position on your side and you can go for that 3v3, or you're on the other side and suddenly those 2 sides have to play back. The risk is, of course, if you're actually going to die in, for example, the 3v2 bot lane or the 2v1 top lane while everyone is pushing up. But you'll see that they take that measured step, right? Everyone, by moving up together, especially now that the waves are coming in at the same time, you can make that play. You push together. There is no synchronization, and then you can move out into the map together. And that's where the tempo comes in. So 5-0, 2.2. Gragas is completely outplaying this Annie. Not even close. Very greedy to stay here. Thinks that they can react to any spell. Gets the E off, but still there's a big chunk of damage. I like what Palafox does for a moment right here. FBI, you're alone. Do. Oh, the last tap. Wow. So everybody well and truly ahead. Sion even ahead of the Ornn despite moving into river a couple times. Just not missing anything. No real threat in that range. We watched Dokla play the other day. Man looked asleep. Not gonna lie. Sorry, Dokla. If you're watching. It was a weird spot, right? Player walkout. A lot of players didn't know what to do, right? You have to suspend team activities. You're not sure like what's going to be. There's not supposed to be game time, so what was normally game time is now off time, so just grind. And a lot of times the image that they think that they need to do is just grind harder, but look to sleep to me. I don't know. Good job again here. You see same thing, EG pressing bot and top at the same time together. You get a read on where the answer is going to be. That means Sion gets to continue to press for the maximum, while Unforgiven on Lucian is able to step back with the Yuumi. So every single time, it's like they're jabs, right? If you think of this as a boxing match, they're getting jabs in, jabs in, jabs in. Gragas landed a haymaker in mid. Two of them with the flash plays, getting onto the end aim, which really kind of, that's towards Palafox. Palafox needs to be better about dodging the chunk damage, but Gragas is just so incredibly difficult, and that's why he got this huge nerf for aimed at pro play, because of the amount of sustain that he was getting, moving from 8 seconds to 12 seconds for the passive. Extra 50 gold. Jojo happy to take that as well. This guy is not missing a beat. You see him like in between spells. You can tell when they're sharp. When people are on form, it's spell, move, move, right? So if you're thinking again like a boxer, in and out, right? I'm in, I'm out. Doing that in between every hit, right? It's not just hit and move. It's hit, move out, move back in, hit. This guy is not missing a click. This is very, very impressive play and very promising for EG for this split. Oh, this is a mistake. That Poppy ult being used on this is only a delay of the inevitable. That Poppy ult needs to hit players, and then you want to kill the Herald while it's up. You don't want to just knock it back, because now that your ult's done, they can chunk you, and the Herald's going to come right back in, right? So now they still get the charge that they want. They're going to get both plates off of this, which means that they do get the gold. Also, because they were able to tap the turret, they're able to get some of that gold onto Unforgiven. Yuumi, importantly, does not tap the turret, right? You don't want to take away the resources. You don't want to split it 3 ways. You just want it split between your jungler and your carry. So now we have a winning position in bot wave. We have a winning position mid. Sion is first into river again, which means Viego gets to take it. So you see the script that EG is using. If they want to take dragon, first push every wave. And that's going to be the big change to the game right now, right? It used to be that your bot wave would arrive several seconds later after mid, so mid would have to push out first, and then you had this like delegation of who's going to stay for the wave, who's not. Instead, it's like, all right, boom, here we go, waves here at 32, let's push, and then at 40 we'll meet in the river. So very stock standard. Looks like EG has the best read on the meta, on top of some very sharp play from their players. This is something that every team's going to pick up, though, if they haven't already. I mean, they can be fighting for it, but honestly, Poppy should have a winning matchup into a lot of these equal number fights if she shows up. So the fact that EG is making these plays happen and NRG is not able to match, very good sign for them. All right, you're going to see Lucian move into the mid wave. Short range champion, doesn't want to be in the long lane for too long. Also lower on levels compared to everybody else, right? So this is the weakest point in the game for your AD carry. This is why you move him over. Also, there's no zero armor plate. There's no difference between mid and bot right now that makes you want to go bot. For the first 5 minutes of the game, the fact that there's no resistances on the turret is why you have your bot lane and bot. Then you're fighting for dragons, right? So there's more action on the bot side of the map, of course. But once you hit 14 minutes and the map is essentially symmetrical, you just want to get your AD carry in the correct position, and that's always going to be mid. It allows Yuumi to centralize. It means that Lucian, highly mobile, is able to get to any fight. Jojo is working down this turret. Everybody pushing up at once. Let's see. Sion should push this wave hard and start roaming into the river, because NRG has shown some answers here. Now, because they move together with the push, Gragas can actually step back. Now, let's see. Are they going to try to... Are they going to try to collect him? They can't anymore. You'll notice that Jojo is not going to cross this threshold anymore. Now that he knows he's been seen, he's never going to cross that line, right? That's only a spot where he can die and nothing good can happen. You see what Sion did again, right? Into the river again. Gragas will push to collect this wave first. Because he actually has to wait for it, this is a little bit delay in their play. So a little bit of a chink in the armor, something they can improve a little bit. He doesn't actually need to be there for this wave because it would take so long. And you know, he does notice it now, like because Annie took a while to clear her wave, this is just sitting here, and he instead opts to go in. And notice how he's not taking the river path, coming very safe. In fact, he's going for Krugs, has teleport open, so he's basically just saying I can take a camp while my team is getting stuff done. We got another Rift Herald. We expect this one to be used mid, although there's some reasons to have it top. If it's top, you force the enemy team to come answer. Rift Herald is lethal on any of these turrets, so wherever they drop it, they're going to get a kill and a threat onto these 1,000 gold mid-tier 2 turrets. So if you put it in the side wave, you sort of force the hand of the enemies to come over. The problem is that it is a Hextech map, so people are going to be rotating a little bit faster than normal. But if you drop Herald mid, then you probably get this turret, you force them to come, and you get to take the mid turret. Not necessarily true the other way. Now Gragas off by themselves, going to get this wave push and then rotate over. Annie again is going to be late on rotations. Revenge has tallied up a 30 CS lead for themselves somehow. Dokla using way more resources, just showing in the tank v tank battle. Sion just has way more to give and to use. Also, this is... There are a lot of people that think that Bami's Cinder is enough and that you shouldn't actually go Sunfire until later. Beautiful cask there. So I'm wondering how much of this tempo loss that they have is because they went for double Sunfire early compared to getting Bami Cinder and then spending your 2,000 gold somewhere else, right? Moving it towards your Mythic. So going Bami's into Mythic is an exceptionally high win rate, efficient build. So here they go. Lucian's pushing up as they drop Herald, so they're going to be able to get both of these. There's not going to be any contest, especially with Poppy being dead. But we'll see where the resources come. It looks like they're sending Milio and Zeri to pick up the Herald. So as expected, which does mean that Lucian's able to take Raptors, and he might even be able to get some damage on mid. But he does have to be careful because of the range of the Ornn engage. But yeah, like looking at this build, right, you just have super low damage across the board. It looks like they want to make the call of, hey, let's just push waves, play standard, scale. We've got Milio plus Zeri, two broken champions. It's a good spot by Dokla, right? You're totally fine trading off some of your health, even if it's as much of a quarter of your health. If you're the one to get that information for your team, then you're going to be okay. Let's see, a little bit of an engage here. Jojopyun actually doing massive amounts of damage. Dokla response flashing. That's a good step. Not asleep there. That would have gotten him killed. Now, I will say it's worth... Oh, you know what? I'll pause. I'll go into it. Let's check out this fight. We've got the flank angle. Sion. Unkillable Demon King in the middle. Or we could say Zombie King. Give him a new name. Flash is going forward. All right, let's see. What's the turnaround? How are they going to zone this? Armeo dodging the ultimate with his ult. Good use of the buffering. So yeah, a little bit of an overstep. Those flash forwards not quite connecting, but now that they've overreached and the cooldowns are down, they're going to punish it. EG not missing a beat here. Good job. All right, turret's going to go down. You might expect Viego. Yep, Viego's going to go solo the dragon. Now, they can actually take this and move over to bot wave, but if they do, they risk the Baron going down. The problem for NRG is specifically it's Zeri who's dead. So Sion's actually moving with strength. This is an interesting gambit right here. Your team is actually on dragon and moving bot, but enemies don't completely know that because they don't have wards in their own quadrant here. So even though Gragas moved over and there's only 3 champions, because of the deaths, because of the fact that you don't know where Gragas is, the NRG doesn't opt for the fight. Now, if you're playing to your outs, if you're NRG, you have to take risks, right? Something that EG's been doing, something that you can exploit, is the fact that they are showing aggression in multiple different places at once. So the answer to beat that is just throw aggression in one place, hard, right? And you commit all your resources in one direction as much as possible, and you basically flip a coin. There's only some amount of places that your enemies can be, and if you're behind, you'd rather take a coin flip that you're right, that there's fewer people. And if there's fewer people, you have a chance at a win. Okay? So that's what needs to go through the thought process if you're behind in this position against this strategy. Now let's see what kind of technique we get here. Obviously, you don't need any wards in the southern or western quadrant if you're EG. Look what they did again. They pushed up mid. 2 different wards being used to keep the mid prio information, right? They want to have information if anyone on their team goes to this side. It looks like they're not going to need it because they get the blow up in the river. And boom, Sion flashing in to get the hammer. Good job. FBI trying to do as much as he can, but there's nothing really to do. Unforgiven on Lucian. Could have easily carried this game too. It's just like there hasn't been that much to do. I mean, he did get the one flashy play, right? Flash onto Zeri to get that kill. It was enough. But hasn't really had to do anything this game. Just collecting what's there. No overreach. Hasn't needed to show any kind of MVP form. I like what Sion's doing actually here as well. They have occult. They have an occult Baron take. By pushing, you keep that sort of hidden from the enemy team. You do have Viego that's going to be very strong with Divine Sunderer. Sometimes you go Divine Sunderer and they'll have access to Blade of the Rune King later, and that you can definitely take in those states, but they're going to back and get Black Cleaver now. So shutdowns across the board. Somehow Sion does not have a shutdown, which is kind of perplexing to me. He's up 15 CS and they are up 4 turrets. Baron and 3 dragons. It seems like there should be a bounty on everybody on this team. Now the technique again, Lucian to mid. Viego's going to move up. You notice that these pairings, support and jungle, are always going to be fairly proximal, right? About 1500 range apart maximum. Look at this beautiful ult. Oh my goodness. Couldn't have asked for a better one. Into the Sion ult, into the hammer. So good. Yeah, we've only seen Jojopyun miss a handful of clicks all game, as far as we can see, right? We don't have the pro view anymore, but from what we see, it's been exceptional. All right, Annie moving over, picking up a side wave. This is a mistake. Showing on the map, right? What are they going to do? Your team doesn't have the ability to stop this push. You do have Runons and Triforce, so I think what they're saying is maybe Zeri by themselves can go up. The problem with this new meta that is heavily, we'll call it extra attack oriented, all right, where you're getting items like Rage Blades and Runon Hurricanes and things like this, it incentivizes people to be a little bit closer to the fight for a little bit longer, which means people with hard engage have a little bit more access to your champion. All right, here we go. They find the engage. Poppy ults them out, but Jojopyun uses the Zhonya's perfectly. Sion comes in to sandwich, to wedge in between the fight. Beautiful job by Revenge stepping forward. Isolates the fight. Ends up peeling 3 different players just by stepping forward. Doesn't even need to step back. Could have continued to hit this. Looks like he's going for a recall, though. He's going to teleport in to protect the minions, so this could be the end of the game. There is a little bit of time investment needed still. The cannon is here. They can get a little bit of extra damage. I don't like the Viego play there. A little bit of a reach. Yeah. Couple flash and resources used. They could have just waited for Sion to come in and tank this for them, but they shouldn't have any issue coming out here. They expect them to zone. There's 3 people still dead. Poppy will not have ultimate. Zeri does not have ultimate, so there's very little threat of counter attack. We're going to have Revenge and Jojopyun holding the front line. Let's see how they position around this. Everyone's moving left. I like this. Right, you don't try to move down. You have to go towards the angle that you've got your free way out. It looks like they did take a couple clicks towards mid lane, but forgot for a moment that mid lane was not there. Gragas misses the chunk, but gets the Zeri. Totally worth. Always going to do that. Look at how they're zoning this. Now they could turn and get the turret, get the inhib, and just win the game here. Get their perfect game. Couple flashes used. And there they go. There it is. Perfect game. 16-0 EG starts off. If they had a chip on their shoulder, I hope they keep it. I hope they're not like, all right, that was good. Fantastic game, guys. Impressive. Really cool to watch. And good to see people in NA playing at this level. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel out a lot. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep it surreal. Peace.